Well, good afternoon. This is Dr. Laura Slay, and I will be your instructor for Reading 380, and welcome to this course. This video is one of many supports designed to support you throughout the course. I'm going to give you an overview of what this course will be for the spring semester of 2024. I am going to begin our presentation and start with our agenda for the course. My goal is to welcome you to the course, introduce who I am, and give you a little bit of information about the layout of the course, the expectations, a tour of D2L, and a brief introduction to Padlet if you've never used Padlet before. So welcome, and let's proceed. So the layout of this course is 5 modules over the spring semester, starting Wednesday, and I would imagine it's Wednesday when you're seeing this. You will find many different videos throughout each of the modules. Each module is approximately a month long. If you look at the syllabus, you will find a document that looks a little bit like this. I'll be posting this in our announcements, which I use quite a bit for communicating messages and such about the course throughout the semester. But this will give you an idea of how long each of the 5 modules are. They will open and close automatically. So you want to stay on top of the content so that you don't get timed out. As I said, I use announcements to help keep you informed of what's going on, things that evolve throughout the course, answer questions that might be in the best interest of the group. You'll be working in groups for a lot of the work. We will have a discussion group and you will have a project group. It is actually the same group, so you'll be working with the same people, and these groups are created around your particular disciplines or disciplines that are compatible in case the group is too small. Groups shouldn't exceed 4. Usually they're groups of 3. I think I have one group of 2 just because of the way the disciplines fell. Everything will be housed in D2L, and I'll show you a tour of that at the end of this little segment. And then Padlet will be used for our group discussions. And then you will be asked to meet with me 3 times throughout the semester in Zoom conferences. So I won't be doing live sessions. However, I'm happy to meet with you anytime to review anything through Zoom should you need that or request that I work with you individually or with you and another person in your group. So let's see. This is a course about disciplinary literacy. You are content area specialists, and that is really, really important for me to recognize and for you to understand that I value what you teach. I am a content area specialist. I have a PhD in curriculum and instruction. My specialty is reading and writing instruction. So I am a literacy specialist, but my field was English and social studies when I was a teacher. So my discipline was social studies. It was also English language arts. But it's really important for me to help you understand and for you to see the different ways that reading supports your work as a specialist, because our goal at the end of the day is to make you the very best teacher that you can be. And we know that you're teaching math or science or agriculture or biology, PE, music, whatever your discipline is, there is a literacy that is specific to your discipline, whether it's vocabulary or whether it's background knowledge or whether it's a way that you access information. Think about it. For you to get your degrees, for you to become a specialist in whatever it is that you're going to be teaching, you've had to do a considerable amount of reading to get along this journey. We want you to recognize that there's different forms of reading as well. So this course is meant to complement what you do as a teacher. It's really important to recognize, as I just said, that it's also about developing your background knowledge that is essential to your specific content. There's a special word that we use in the world of teaching and education, and it's called schema. You come with a lot of schema about the thing that you know best, whether it's teaching basketball or teaching how to sing and how to become a performer or a musician or to work in a band or to read a score in music, how to read plants and the signs of a healthy plant versus a plant that needs a little bit of nitrogen or animals, people's signs, etc. Um, the other thing is to understand that disciplinary literacy is about developing the thinking and the identity in your specific content area. So that's why I listed on the side of this slide the different areas and types of things that we think about as in our disciplines. For example, when I think of me being an English teacher, I'm a professor. That's my identity. I'm an English teacher, so we don't call it an Englishatician, but we might say that I'm a writer and I'm a reader. I'm an author. We have mathematicians and scientists and biologists. You learn to think like an artist. You learn to think like an athlete or a musician, et cetera, et cetera. Um, and in order to do that and develop the literacies involved in all of this, we talk about two different types of reading. One, we read texts, just good old-fashioned traditional texts. You know those as written texts, but we also know that we live in a world of digital text. So there's videos and there's different kinds of there's emails and I don't have to go through all the different things that we see on computers because you're living that world and you most likely have grown up in that world. But you've read a lot of different texts that are specific to your discipline. We call those professional texts. In my world, they're research books. That might not be so interesting to you unless you wanted to get further advanced degrees, but you have your own professional text. You have magazines and journals that are specific to sports um, or science or agriculture, whatever it is, to music. You also read symbols. Um, there's lots of different sign systems in the types of work that each one of us do. We read body language, whether it's emotions or the body language. I would imagine that PE teachers read a lot of body language because the way an athlete positions him or herself, the way they stand, the way they position themselves to shoot a free throw is going to be different than when you're passing a ball. And I am not an athlete, so I'm not going to tell you how to do that, but I do know that you have to have a certain stance and persona in order to be successful in your particular, as an athlete or whatever your discipline is. We also have visual language types of communication, and we have the types of things that we actually listen to or hear because there's spoken messages and there's things that we read, whether they're signs, symbols, images, pictures, or words. Because think about it, texts are forms of communication meant to convey ideas. So we read many forms of text across all disciplines. But I want you to think about this. We also read the world. These are texts that are specific to our content areas or our disciplines. I just listed a smorgasbord of different things. You're going to say, oh, but I also read this and I also read this. And I'm going to ask you in your introductions to post something that is specific to your discipline, something that is a type of reading that is attached to your identity as a content area specialist. We read schedules, we read agendas, we read articles, we read histories. Sometimes if we are really into learning about how we read, like, for example, biographies. If we want to learn about a famous athlete, we read everything we can on the internet, or we get a magazine, or we do a little bit of research on how that athlete was able to become so successful, for example, or a musician. We read biographies of musicians all the time, current and past. We read plays. Now, plays, when we think about plays, we're thinking about plays in terms of, we traditionally think of a drama, but athletes read, or coaches, they read plays. They study the plays, the strategies that they want to have their teams perform or do when they go out and have a strategy for going. And I know there's symbols and X's and arrows and all of that. I don't know what they mean. because I'm not a specialist in football or basketball or anything like that. We read how people are feeling, we read their moods, we read their emotions, but we also read the moods and emotions of animals. I can tell when my dog has her tail between her legs, that she's not feeling so good. She might be ashamed of something she did, but her head is hanging low. That means something. I'm reading her body language. When her, I think what they call it, when her hair, there's a name for the hair. See, that's the vocabulary. On the back of her fur is up when she sees another animal and she feels a little bit in danger. That's a symbol when she's panting. Or one of the most famous messages in my house is that she will steal the towels off the oven door and run across the house just to be naughty, to tell me, and then come over and stare at me like it's 10 o'clock at night, it's time for bed. We have our own language. That's reading my dog, and she knows how to read me. We read scores and notes, and in music, we read lines and shading. In art, we read charts and graphs. In science, we read charts and graphs through everything. Oh, I didn't put it on here. I meant to. Now I thought of the word. Statistics. Coaches read statistics. Athletes read statistics. We read statistics if you're in math or in science. In all our disciplines, we read different types of charts, graphs, and statistics. Mathematicians have equations and formulas. If you don't write your number sentence in exactly the right type of notation and I learned this the hard way. If I don't put the parentheses in the right place, it conveys the wrong message, and my problem is not solvable. We read signs and symbols. And then, of course, I have all the different types of things that we have on the right that I've already mentioned: plants, animals, people, strategies, research, histories, programs, scripts, and recipes. I think what's really important, and I just went too fast. Let me go backwards. Let's see if I can make it go back. Please understand that I'm not trying to make you a reading teacher. When I was in the classroom, and I was studying to become a professor, and I would do presentations, and we were also encouraged as English teachers we would tell everybody's a reading teacher. And then when I was a literacy coach, the history teachers and all of the content area teachers that I worked with, they would get really upset with that. They'd become, no, I'm not a reading teacher. I'm a math teacher. I'm a history teacher. I'm a science teacher. And that's correct. That is what your expertise is. But reading is a part of your discipline in some form or another, which isn't going to look the same. I cannot teach your discipline, but I can teach reading and things that support your discipline. And I think you're going to be finding it very, very interesting when you read our text, which is this one, that this book will teach you that all those famous strategies that we call reading strategies apply differently depending on your discipline. So I think that the research is showing there's different ways to look at what it means to become a literacy, what literacy looks like in the disciplines. And so I just want to honor all of these. I listed here the types of groups that we have in this particular course based on who you are, as I've looked up to see how to group you. We have an English group, a math group, a science group, I'm actually grouping science and agriculture together. I think there's a biology student, and then we have the ag students. We have a group of music teachers at different levels. We have a PE group. Oh, actually, let me take that back. I didn't put history on here. There is a history group, and I've grouped, we have one PE teacher in this class, and I've grouped that person with history and social studies because it tends to blend well in certain areas. But we will talk more about what that looks like. And now let me go into a little bit about D2L and Padlet. So I need to get out of the screen in order to make this happen. And let me see if I can find my D2L. I'm not seeing it up here. And so let me go. Oh, here it is. All right, here's our course. When you go into our course, Spring 2024, Comprehension and Vocabulary in the middle and high school grades, you will see, let me go, the the best way to navigate this course. You'll see all sorts of different deadlines and such that I will be posting here. Module 1 opened on is going to it closes because it says availability ends on January 29th, but keep this calendar area handy so that you will know when deadlines are coming up, and you can use this. You see everything here, all the different modules, but they won't all be visible quite yet to you because you're in the professor view right now. So let's look, and I want you to see how things are lined up. You will see content. You will see a section for your grades. You will have a section for communication tools, which includes the calendar, a class list, an email list, and I don't think I'm going to use this groups tab because of the way that I'm using Padlet for our discussions. But when you need to get in touch with your group members, you're going to go here to the class list, or you're going to go here to email. And what I would say is, let's go back. I would tell you to go here and go to class list. And you will see everyone that's in this class, and you can actually click on, let's say these 3 people are in a group, and then you would say email, and then you can click on the email to send those 3 people a message to get them started. So that's one way to get in touch. I'm going to show you another way that we can set this up. When we do Zoom calls, I will send you a link, but this is where sometimes things are set up in here when I embed them as live Zooms. But I'll show you where you're going to see some Zoom links that you're going to use. And this other stuff you don't have to worry about because that's all for my management. But the most important thing is for you to look at this content area. And you're going to see the 5 modules. So they're listed. Module 1, Module 2, 3, 4, and 5. Some of these are hidden, so you won't see them quite yet. But I will be adding dates so that they open in conjunction with this schedule that you have in the syllabus. So how do you get to all of that? Well, I would say you start with the course home. And you will see the syllabus is going to be here. It'll populate. You can also download it. So there's the book and all the information. And all the way at the very end, you have this chart. And you can download all of that by going here to the download button. So if you need to go backwards and you're going, I get lost, you can go back to course home here, or you can go back to the table of contents. You will see that we have guidelines for discussions here. So I expect that you'll read that and read a little bit about me. Here's my lovely picture, my professional picture that's on the website. I have much more fun pictures, but I posted that one. You can read a little bit about who I am, what my background is. I've been in teaching, oh my gosh, for more than 30 years. Here's my family, and some of the fun things I like to do with students. So read this because I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves, and then we get into module 1, etc. And then you'll read the instructions you will see that will give you an overview. And then I'm going to have a video at the beginning of it also that'll tell you this is what this module is all about. And it goes through and it tells you here's the readings and here's the discussions. And here's our groups that I mentioned before. And here's the Padlets to be able to get into those discussions. And then here's the big project that you're going to be doing. You're going to be working with lesson plans throughout the semester, because after all, it's what you're going to have to do in your professional job. We want everything that we do to be something that is useful for you when you enter the classroom and to help you prepare for your internship that you're going to be doing so that you can get certified. So we call this the Collaborative Performance Project. It's a CPP. And I'm not going to go into that now because that would take much too long, but know that that's a big project and it's a group project. So you're going to have to plan accordingly. And so here you'll see the groups. I will post the names in the groups in the announcements. I don't need to post that at this time, but this is how you will get to your Padlets, and each group will have its own Padlet. So this is where you'll conduct your discussions. And I'll explain that when I get into the next video, which is going to be for module 1. And then at the end of each of the overviews, you will see the different deadlines that you have so that you know when things are due and you can plan accordingly, starting from the beginning of when the module opens. One of the first tasks that you will have is an introduction. So let me show you where Padlet is. So you're going to click and it says Padlet page, and it's going to open up. And so you'll see when I have it in red is you have a set of instructions. And so I'm going to ask you to read the introduction that I wrote, just so you know about me, and then present yourself. And I'm going to add something in here that says, and also present something that represents the kind of reading that you would do that is specific to your discipline, based on this discussion that we've had. And so that's how you will get to your Padlets. One of the nice things about Padlet, by the way, is that you can use it from your phone, from any digital device that you have. It's so accessible and easy to use. You'll have the initial Padlet, which is your introduction, and then you're going to have these Padlets. So here's the math Padlet, for example. Here's your set of instructions, and then you'll have the different things that you're going to do in this module, and then you'll post here at the end. And I'm going to reiterate this again. It's a lot of information, but to post, this will say module 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way across, but then you'll post here, and you're going to write whatever it is. I think probably your name, or a heading, and then this is where you'll write whatever your comments are. So to do the introductions, let me go back. Where did it go? I lost our introductions Padlet. Oh, here it is. In this case, notice there's a plus sign here on the right. This is where you're going to write your plus sign, and you're going to write your name, and then you'll introduce yourself here. And if you're going to add pictures, you can add an image, which will take you to, I mean, you could do it. You could see that it was the camera, or you can add images that you can upload from your computer, or let's see, it says web-based, Spotify, YouTube, your own images and such. I'm not sure why that particular thing is showing up there, but notice, look at all the different places. You see, you can do an image search, a web search. You can find it from would be a map. You can link information. So there's quite a lot that you can put in as you upload, or maybe you could do a screen recording, whatever it is. But this is where, and then when you're all done, you say publish. And so you'll keep adding. So we're going to have a list of whoever is in this class. And if you want to add a comment here, that's great. You're going to want to create your profile when you set up Padlet, because you want your image. This is my fun picture. This is what you want to put into, you want to see who we are and who we're talking to. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that, because that was just an example, and we'll delete that. So welcome to this course. I really, really look forward to talking with you. And I promise I'm going to try to keep these videos short and sweet and to the point, because I hate to listen to a talking head. But I welcome you, and I'm really excited to be working with you. I'll see you in the next video, and have a great semester. Bye-bye.